If you are concerned about real estate, watch this. Right now, the economy feels off. Rates are high, inflation's sticky, and everyone is a little bit scared. And when fear is high, most people freeze. But here is what most investors miss. Uncertainty is where real wealth is built. So we've seen this playbook before. I went through this in 2007, 2008, and during that period of time, there were over 8 million jobs lost. Unemployment went from 5% to up to 10% in just 2 years. So the federal funds rate went from 1% to over 4%. Does this sound familiar? So I went through this in 2005, 6, 7, and 8, just like a lot of you are going through that right now. And I can tell you, Ross and I both were very, very scared. When rates go up like this, uncertainty hits the markets and cash flow starts to go down. And when cash flow goes down, people get concerned and they start to do really dumb things. Like I said, I've seen this before. So when the U.S. market was crashing in 2008, 9, and 10, that's precisely when I started to look outside of the country into Canada, and we started raising money there to buy real estate in the United States, which is exactly what we did. We went and put together a fund through what's called the Retirement Savings Plan, or RSPs, the same as our 401k here in the U.S., and we raised hundreds of millions of dollars from Canadian investors to buy U.S. real estate at 50 cents on the dollar. And most people thought I was crazy. At this time, you got to imagine what was going on during this period of time. Investors pulled back and banks were not lending. Does this sound familiar at all to you? And so just like today, the media is screaming collapse and recession and all kinds of things as a result of this new president. Just like I went through in 2008, 9, and 10, I was still buying, and I was buying based on fundamentals. I was buying based on math, and I only bought when things cash flowed. So today we're seeing the same fear, and for me, it's the exact same playbook, which is precisely why we are building and buying projects right now. By the middle of this year, we'll have purchased well over $500 million worth of multifamily, because the data tells me we are at the right time. And just 2 years ago, I was on the sidelines buying nothing. So why would I be buying today when rates are higher and there's more disruption? There's been a price adjustment, and banks are scrambling to look for good operators like our company. So just 2 years ago, when everyone was getting greedy and the prices were being bid up to sky-high prices that did not cash flow, I was sitting on the sidelines, which is really hard to do when you know that you can fund and buy pretty much anything that you want up to this point. So staying calm and staying disciplined during a time of irrational exuberance is really, really difficult, but it's what professional investors do. Most investors wait until the market feels good. They want to see green lights in the economy before they move forward. But the market doesn't always reward comfort. By the time these headlines turn positive, these deals are gone. The best time to buy it is when a deal pencils and your competition is scared. Right now, interest rates are up and cap rates are up, and sellers are finally starting to get realistic with their pricing. So we're structuring these deals at today's rates, based on today's fundamentals, on today's math. Just remember, cash is still king, and you should only buy on math and never, ever buy on hope. So one of the deals that we recently purchased was over a 300-unit project just outside of Las Vegas in an area called Henderson, Nevada. This project appraised for over $50 million higher than when we purchased it just 3 years ago. At the adjusted price at today's market, we were able to buy a property that cash flowed on day one, had real value inside of the rent roll. So we saw potential for the increase in rents and some expense savings. So we have an opportunity to grow the net operating income. And we bought it well below replacement costs. In other words, if we were to build that project today, it would be at least $50,000 per unit more to build the property today than it was for us to buy it as is. This is precisely what I'm talking about. Many people could have and would have bought that property just 2 or 3 years ago had it been for sale. But by waiting just a couple years and letting the markets do their thing, we were able to snag this property at significantly below replacement cost. So here's what I've learned after 30 years in the game. Most people don't act because they want certainty, but certainty can be expensive. By the time the market feels safe, many times the upside is gone. This is the danger of emotional investing. You've got to buy when the numbers make sense, not when it feels easy. This is why I say buy on fundamentals, not on emotion. That's how you build real wealth in this business. So what do you do with all this? You get focused on the right deals in the right markets with the right math. deals that cash flow now and deals that you can add value. I call it forced equity, not market equity. You don't budget that the market's going to go up. There's real value in the property today that you can create. And of course, all deals should be a fixed rate debt so you can avoid all the future chaos and you can be assured of what your debt payment is going to be over the next several years. Do not wait for permission. Let me leave you with this. If you're sitting here right now thinking, man, I want to invest, I want to take action, but the market is so uncertain. Listen up. Uncertainty is exactly when you need to lean in. Not when it's easy, not when it's obvious, when it's uncomfortable. That's when you show up. And that's precisely why we are hosting the Limitless Expo 2025. Because we know that most people are frozen. They're scared, they're confused, and they're stuck, and they're not going anywhere. But the truth is, if you surround yourself with the right people, investors, entrepreneurs, syndicators, lenders, pros, you start to realize that you're not alone. You're just one decision away from momentum. At Limitless, you'll meet the people who are still doing deals today. People who have been through 2008, through COVID, and are aggressively navigating their way through this cycle too. These people are not sitting on the sidelines. It's about building wealth when others are waiting for permission. So I'm inviting you to come to Limitless Expo 2025. The biggest risk right now is doing nothing.